Supreme Commander Zalthix reviewed the holographic display with satisfied confidence. 743 worlds conquered. 743 civilizations either enslaved or eradicated. The Korthian Empire's expansion had been flawless, unstoppable, inevitable. The next target, Supreme Commander. His tactical officer announced, gesturing to a small blue-green planet rotating in the display. Designation Earth, Class M world. Single dominant species. Primitive nuclear age technology. Population approximately 8 billion. Zalthix's mandibles clicked with amusement. 8 billion? They breed like vermin, no matter. Standard invasion protocol. Deploy the fear broadcasts, then harvest whatever's left. The Korthian method had proven effective across the galaxy. First, they would broadcast their arrival. Images of their previous conquests, demonstrations of their weaponry, demands for immediate surrender. Most species capitulated within hours. Those who resisted were made examples of. Their dying screams transmitted across their planetary networks until even the bravest lost hope. The invasion fleet entered Earth's solar system 3 cycles later. 200 warships, each capable of glassing a continent. The humans, with their laughable chemical rockets and primitive satellites, wouldn't stand a chance. Begin the fear broadcast, Zalthix commanded. The transmission went out in every human language, every frequency, every communication channel. Images of burning worlds, cities reduced to ash, species begging for mercy that never came. The message was clear: surrender or die. The Korthians waited for the inevitable response. Panic, chaos, the collapse of human civilization from within. It's what always happened, but Earth went silent. Status report, Zalthix demanded after an hour of eerie quiet. No response, Supreme Commander. Their communication networks are active, but there's minimal traffic. No broadcasts of panic, no surrender transmissions. It's as if they're waiting. Zalthix felt the first tingle of unease. In 743 conquests, he'd never encountered this. Fear was universal. Terror was guaranteed. Then, 12 hours after the Korthian broadcast, Earth responded. The message came through every channel simultaneously, powerful enough to override even the Korthian fleet's internal communications. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't a plea. It was a data packet, enormous, complex, and utterly incomprehensible at first. What is this? Zalthix roared as his technicians scrambled to decode it. It's information, Supreme Commander. Historical records. They're historical records. The data began flooding their systems. Images, videos, documents. 5,000 years of human history compressed into a single devastating transmission, and with it a simple text message in Korthian. You wanted to know who we are, so we're showing you. Zalthix watched in growing horror as the records played across every screen in the fleet. Humans fighting humans, endless brutal creative warfare spanning millennia. The siege of Carthage, the Mongol conquests, the 30 Years' War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Iraq, Syria. Century after century of humanity perfecting the art of killing their own kind with ever-increasing efficiency. But it wasn't just the wars. It was the context. The humans had split atoms not to power their civilization, but to create weapons that could annihilate millions in seconds. They'd invented chemical weapons so horrific they'd banned them among themselves. And then some still used them anyway. They'd crafted biological horrors, designed torture techniques that broke minds as well as bodies, created philosophies of total war that accepted civilian casualties as statistical inevitabilities. The transmission showed concentration camps and genocides. It showed the bombing of cities and the burning of villages. It showed humans surviving nuclear weapons and continuing to fight. It showed soldiers charging into machine gun fire, fanatics flying planes into buildings, guerrilla fighters resisting superpowers for decades. They haven't had interstellar war, the tactical officer whispered, his voice trembling. All of this was just them fighting themselves. The final part of the transmission showed Earth's current military capabilities. The humans hadn't panicked at the Korthian arrival. They'd mobilized. Every nation, every faction, every military force on the planet had united for the first time in their history. And the weapons they'd stockpiled for fighting each other. Tens of thousands of nuclear warheads, biological weapons, autonomous drone swarms, railguns, lasers, kinetic bombardment systems, experimental weapons even the humans themselves feared to use, were now pointed upward. The message ended with a single line translated into Korthian. You've conquered 743 worlds. We've been conquering each other for 5,000 years. We've gotten very, very good at it. Leave now or find out what we learned. Zalthix stared at the display, his earlier confidence replaced by cold calculation. The humans were primitive, yes. Divided, yes. But they were also insane. A species that had turned their own planet into a weapons testing ground. A species that had nearly destroyed themselves multiple times and kept going. A species that apparently considered extinction-level arsenals a normal thing to maintain. The Korthians had conquered through fear. But what do you do with a species that had already survived every horror they could imagine, inflicted by their own kind? Supreme Commander? The tactical officer asked hesitantly. Your orders? Zalthix looked at the small blue planet on the display. 8 billion humans. 8 billion survivors of 5,000 years of self-inflicted nightmare. 8 billion beings who had just demonstrated that they understood warfare on a level the Korthians, for all their conquests, had never needed to master. Alter course, he said quietly. Remove Earth from the conquest list. Mark it as a prohibited zone. But Supreme Commander, that's an order! Zalthix's voice cracked across the bridge. We conquer civilizations, not rabid predators. Let them stay on their world. And pray to the void they never develop faster than light travel. The Korthian fleet turned away from Earth, leaving humanity alone. The message had already begun spreading across the galaxy through stolen Korthian communication protocols. Other species, other empires, other would-be conquerors all received the same data packet. The same 5,000 years of human history. The same warning. Earth's location was quietly added to every galactic navigation chart with a simple designation. Quarantine world, do not engage. Humanity never knew how close they'd come to invasion. They'd sent their message, watched the alien fleet turn away, and went back to their own conflicts, their own divisions, their own problems. But in the darkness between stars, in the councils of empires and federations, a new truth had emerged. There was a planet out there whose inhabitants had spent millennia turning themselves into weapons. And the galaxy collectively decided to leave them alone, for now.